YouTube, Myron Golden here, and I am here with a very good friend of mine and one of our students from our King Solomon's Wisdom Inner Circle program, Mrs. Eileen Wilder. And her story is she was a homeschool mom, whose husband was an Uber driver, and now they've built a multi-million-dollar business. Hello, Eileen. How are you?
So good, Myron. Thanks for having me.
100%, 100%. So glad to have you here. I'm going to ask you some questions. You can ask me some questions if you'd like. And were you really a homeschool mom, or is that like one of those theatrical before and after stories? Like, are you really a homeschool mom? Like, your husband was really an Uber driver. Tell us that story.
Yeah,
let's start there.
I was really a homeschool mom. I had 3 little kids, and we were in a small 2-bedroom apartment, and we were in ministry. So I just kind of felt like my job, was going to say only to be a mom and only to homeschool my kids. So it's a real story. Homeschooling is a little different for some people, but I enjoyed it. I just definitely felt like I wanted more out of life. And I had the privilege and opportunity to find out about some abilities to make wealth as a homeschooling mom, and that changed my life forever. So.
Right, and you went to a conference or something with a friend of yours.
Yep.
You want to tell that story?
Yeah, a friend of mine named Jackie said to come to a marketing conference, and the ticket was something like $600 or something crazy town. And I was like, I definitely do not have $600. We were just
go to a marketing conference. And I'm not even in marketing. I'm not even in marketing. Right?
And she's like, I just want to bring a friend. I was like, okay, sure. So she paid for my ticket to go to Orlando, Florida, to go to this conference. I sat in the back because I'm thinking, this isn't for me. This is for, I don't even know really what marketing is at this point. And it was held by a software company. I didn't know what that was either. But as I sat in the back, I saw people walking across the stage getting awards for $1 million and $10 million and some of them even more. And I had never seen
any of this
before, nor ever seen a bunch of millionaires in one place. Like the whole thing felt like a movie. It really felt like I had. Sometimes I say it stepped through the wardrobe of Chronicles of Narnia, and I was like,
in an alternative universe.
Legit, what is happening right now? And I didn't understand a lot of the terms. They were using all these jargon, a lot of terms, but
CTR,
LTV. Yeah, LTV, and they were using words like bump and offer and like funnel, and I didn't know. I actually sat there in the back taking notes, like writing, so I could Google it later, and but I tried to look cool. You know how when people use terms that you don't know what they mean, but you try to act like you know what they mean? So I was just, I was like, my funnel's amazing. What's your funnel like? It's just trying to be cool. So, but it opened my eyes to a whole nother world that exists of people, just creating wealth like crazy pants.
And and then Russell, the guy who put on this event, he made an offer.
Yeah, he made an offer, which I didn't know what an offer was, but he basically said, listen, if you would like to become a millionaire, and I was like in the back, like raising my hand.
Sign
I was
me
like,
up for
that
program.
sounds like a great, I love that homeschooling class. Let's go to that class. If you would like to learn how to become a millionaire, kind of go to the back of the room and sign up for this offer. But I didn't.
And it wasn't a cheap offer, was it?
No, the offer was about what we were making for our annual salary as an Uber driver. My husband was Uber driving at that point. So I called my husband like real quick, but I tried to act like I had to go real quick. I didn't really want to tell him how much it was, and so I kind of tried I'd be like, well, I'm gonna sign up for this thing. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be so cool. Okay, I'll talk to you later, babe. And just hung up the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, hung up the phone. But
so if I can ask you, did you end up putting it on a credit card? Because it was like $18,000 or something like that, wasn't it?
Well, I know exactly how much it was. Okay. It was $21,800.
Okay.
And we were making about $30,000 in the apartment at the time. But he had the ability to put the first payment on a credit card, and the first payment was $1,800.
Okay, so you put it on a credit card. So you had good credit at least.
Thank God. Right. Barely good credit though, because we were also in credit card debt. So it was we were barely, so I was terrified.
So what makes somebody who's making $30,000 a year believe that whatever this new thing is going to work so well that you're going to spend like 2/3 of that on a coaching program of all things?
I know. Well, you know what's crazy is, the Bible says that, like, faith comes by hearing, So Russell said we could make $1 million. And I believed him.
Okay.
And I saw all the evidence. And I had no prior bad experience in any of these spaces. I'd never, I didn't even know what I was doing. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, as a part of that coaching program, you were allowed to go to other events.
Yes. Yeah.
And so there was another event they had in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep.
I was there.
Yep.
You were there.
Yep.
And
That was awesome.
I don't know, we met on a break and you said, so what do you do?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I teach people how to build businesses based on King Solomon's business model.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me more. I said, well, okay, this is how we do it. And I think at the time it was $36,000 or some crazy amount of money. It was $36,000. So you had to come up with $18,000 more dollars in addition to the money you already spent. This is so funny. It's so funny that people do this.
It is so funny.
And so I said, you can put $2,000 down now, and then you can like wire the like half later, and then we'll put you on a payment plan, right?
Yep.
Anyway, fast forward, you bought that program.
Yep. Because I was finding out that you can pay people and make more money back. So that was new to me.
Okay.
Like, I didn't know that coaching programs existed, or mentorships is another word for it. So if you haven't heard that that's a thing where you can pay mentors to teach you things that'll make you more money. So it actually winds up becoming an investment, not a cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people hearing you say that would say,
I know.
You sound really gullible, lady.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people think that. Like, this does not, like, you're I mean, you're nodding your head up and down and you're like going along with it and saying a lot, but to the average person, this sounds pretty insane.
This does. You're right. It does sound insane.
So when you came to the coaching program that he had in Phoenix where we met, had you already started making a boatload of money?
I had started making some money, which was
cool.
incredibly exciting.
Okay.
Yeah, I had learned some things, and one of the things that I had learned was to come up with like a speech, a talk. I call it a signature message, to come up with a speech. And at the end of the speech, that you arrange the speech in a certain way, at the end of the speech, you can offer like a product or a course or your own mentorship. So by the time I had met you, I had arranged my speech and I had started selling a mentorship with me. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, what were you mentoring, Eileen? You were a homeschool mom. Yeah, I got you. Well, I was a pastor for 18 years with my husband. So, like Myron, I love the Bible. Love the Bible. I grew up studying the Bible. Love it. So the offer that I would make at the end of my speech was to help people with life coaching.
Okay.
So I would basically, to be honest with you, I'd really just encourage them, motivate them, and help them with wherever they were in their life to achieve their goals based on biblical principles. So that's what I was selling.
Gotcha.
When I met you.
And when I met you and I told you I teach people how to build successful businesses based on King Solomon's business model, that's why it resonated with you so much.
100%. I was like, the Bible's amazing.
Right, the Bible is amazing. and basically, I showed her this stuff in the Bible, like, okay, well, King Solomon, he was a consultant to his contemporaries. He took other people who were in the same business he was in and showed them how to do it better.
Yeah.
He was a communicator to crowds. He got people together and he spoke to thousands of people at a time, and they all paid him, right? And then he was the king of continuity cash flow. Like the scripture says, they paid him a rate year by year. And so I said, that's what I teach people how to do. I teach people how to do what King Solomon did, and then they paid me, right? And so we built an entire business on that. I mean, right now we have 100 people in our coaching program. Actually, our cutoff is 100, but we counted too late. We actually ended up with 104. So we actually ended up with 104. And that program is no longer $36,000. Now it's $155,000. But I'm telling you this part of the story because now I understand why, because it didn't really make sense to me before. Okay, so you already were into the Bible, and I told you King Solomon's business model, and you're like, oh, I really want to learn that. So, okay, so fast forward then, you paid me $2,000. You needed another $16,000 to come up with a total of $18,000.
Yeah, that's great.
And then got on a weekly payment plan.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Okay, so you just went home and just had the money under the mattress?
Well, Myron said, am I allowed to tell everybody your secret advice that you told me?
Sure, sure.
So Myron said, well, I was still learning my speech and my thing. So I was like, okay, I need $18,000 more, and I want it fast. Like, how many of you guys like want it faster? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to sign up with Myron a year later, which, you know, for some people, that may
makes sense.
Yeah, $18,000 took me a year to make $18,000. I was like, how do I do this faster? And so Myron said, just make more offers. And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. Like,
I said, look, all you have to do is collapse time frames, take the number of offers you'd ordinarily make in a year, make that number of offers in a month, take the number of offers you make in a month, make that number of offers every week, take the number of offers you do in a week, make that number of offers every day, take the number of offers you make every day, do that number of offers every hour. Yeah. And I said, in 30 days, you will have the money. Yeah. Right? That's what I said. But it didn't take 30 days.
No, it didn't take 30 days. No, so I'll tell you what I did, but 7 days later.
Actually, it was 6.
Was it 6?
It was 6.
See,
yeah.
there you go.
6 days later.
6 days later. I feel like 7's more biblical, so we'll go with the 6.
God rest your soul.
He's doing something on the 6, yeah. 6 days later, I called Myron, and I was like, I got the money. And you were like, maybe you were surprised. I don't know if you were surprised.
I was like looking at my phone, it's this person that does this.
Which is so cool because the phrase "make more offers," what it meant to me, or what it spoke to me, was you're already on the right path because I've already had this speech and I already have this offer. All I heard was go do it, take more action, take more massive action. And sometimes I feel like the secret between successful people and unsuccessful people is literally just taking action. Like right now, I have this saying that I tell people that I say, procrastination is the assassination of your destination. So often we're like delaying the very thing.
It's amazing. That's where people find resistance. They resist the thing that will give them the result the fastest. They resist doing the activity that gives them their best chance at getting the outcome they desire.
Crazy.
That's human nature. Yeah. Because I heard somebody say one time, and I wish I knew who quoted. I'd definitely give them credit, but I don't remember. For most people, known hells are better than unknown heavens. Right? So they would rather stay in something they know is not working than like venture out and attempt to do something that might work.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so good.
Yeah, it is.
That's really good.
It is. So you did it. You made more offers. You called me in 6 days, said I have the money. You wired the money. Got started in our coaching program. And one of the things that we do in that coaching program is we teach people how to like speak to sell. And so she came to this class, and you did something really remarkable because you set up your first like live event to happen within a short, I don't know how long, but within a short period of time after you came to the event. So you already had it set up. You didn't even give yourself an opportunity to procrastinate. You literally had the execution of what you were going to learn set up before you even learned the thing. Yeah. Right? So great. Right. And
right. Because you taught me to commit to the destination. So it's like, what could I do and what could you do right now that would like force you to take massive action? And I knew that if I had a hotel room booked, that
like a meeting space.
Like a meeting space. And I think so often that's like a real secret, don't you think? Is like putting a date on something.
Well, that's what God did when he created everything. Yeah. In the beginning, God set a time. Yeah. God created the heavens, that's a space, and the earth. So God established, the first thing he did was establish a time and place. So maybe it's a thing.
Maybe it's a thing. That's why it works.
God did it first. Right? So.
Yeah, so what I did is I used the same, and this is what we're teaching people now, but I used the same talk, and then what I would do is just bonus a ticket to that event.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did the event with 8 people there.
Mm-hmm. 8 people.
8 people there.
8 people is not 80. It's not 800. It's not 8,000.
Yeah.
It's not 80,000.
Yeah.
8 people.
I was so excited because I was a homeschool mom.
Right.
So having 8 people come to an event that I was hosting, I was like, I'm crushing it. I'm peaking right now. This is it.
This is
there are 8 people.
crest.
I'm going to teach them something. This is amazing. I actually did ask a few of my friends, 4 of my friends, to come in the room to make it look more full, so that I would really peak well. But yeah, the event was awesome, and
You made an offer.
I made an offer, just like I saw Russell, because it was so cool. I was like, here's my offer. If you want it, great. If you don't want it, all good. I'm going to do this mentorship, and 5 people bought it.
So good.
I was so excited. I tried not to look so excited. I was like, thank you so much. This is like, thank you so much. But like, I was
You're keeping it calm.
Really excited.
Right.
And I had made and so we actually wound up making $108,000.
$108,000 first event with 8 people.
Yeah.
Like, boom. Let's go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And from now it's impossible after that. After you have that experience, it's impossible for you not to believe.
Absolutely.
Right? You're like, okay, like
Yeah.
I don't know what else I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, but I know I'm gonna keep doing this. Right?
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
That's so
like
true.
I remember my first event.
Yep.
After I started speaking, my first event I did, I made $350. Not $350,000. Not $350,000. $350. Then I got some coaching.
Wow.
The next event I did $5,900.
$5,900.
$5,900.
So cool. Yeah.
But I wasn't offering. I didn't understand the game at the level I understand the game at now, right? And so I made an offer,
great.
and my offer was $147. Your offer was not $147.
No, it was not.
Right?
Yeah.
So I made an offer for $147.
Right.
And enough people bought it. I made $5,900, and I felt like I had cashed in.
Oh, that was
like I had just hit the mother load.
Yeah.
Because I found, and at that event, for me, with this.
When was that, Myron?
That was in August of 2003.
Wow.
Okay,
So cool.
specifically.
Yeah. Specifically.
Right, August of 2003. And 2 people at that event asked me to come later and speak to their group because it was a multi-level marketing
cool.
group. So I taught multi-level marketers how to grow their multi-level marketing business. And so a guy named Reggie asked me to come 2 weeks later and speak to his crew in Baltimore, and a woman named Khadija asked me to come to Cleveland and speak to her group. So I went to
Wow,
Cleveland.
2 different cities.
2 different
Yeah,
cities.
interesting.
I spoke to Khadija's group in Cleveland. I did $6,600.
Whoa.
Then 2 weeks later, I went to Baltimore, did $8,800. I'm like, this whole talking to people and making an offer thing might be a thing. Like I might stick with this for a few months, right? And so then I started teaching other people how to do it. But back to your story. So now you had your $108,000 day with your signature talk.
Yeah.
You made your offer.
Yep.
Then what? Did you do it again? Did you do something different? Like what's the
Well,
ne-
the
what
very
happened
first
next?
thing I did. Okay, go
Let me
ahead.
ask you this.
Yeah.
You bought a $21,800 program from Russell. You bought
Yeah.
a $36,000 program from me. What did your husband think about all this money you're spending?
Yeah, my husband, well, you know what's great is I have been really blessed with a husband that was willing to let me try. So he was supportive enough to let me try, but he definitely was not sure about what I was doing.
Would you say he was concerned?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe not worried.
Yeah, maybe not worried,
But
like,
concerned.
definitely like,
concerned.
wow, I don't know where this is going. Yeah.
But I hope it's going somewhere good. Like, because we $40,000 in, so
Yeah.
it needs to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Or more than that.
Yeah.
$57,000 in.
But but the day that I made $108,000,
Right.
my husband was there.
Oh, he was there too.
He was there at the event. Like he Uber drove at night.
Okay.
So he was
there
there
at the
during
event.
the day.
Okay.
And when he saw the order forms getting handed into me, the look on his face was like, it was like I was Wonder Woman. It was like, I had been imbued with superpowers, and I was now no longer his wife. I was like some other magnificent magical creature that made money rain down from the heavens. And I was like, I mean, the look, I still remember the look in his eyes. He was like,
yeah. Your husband's a really good dude. He's a good dude. So now he believes, though.
Yeah,
now he's all in.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go. When's the next event?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, totally.
When's the next event when you're hiring the next coach? Let's go.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Yeah, and he's like that now. So it's funny how an unbeliever can become a believer, right? As soon as they see that evidence.
Wow.
Yeah, thank God.
So then what happened next?
Okay. Oh yeah.
Tell us the
Okay.
rest of, like, how did you go from homeschool mom to homemade millionaire? Because now we're not talking about $108,000 nice, but it ain't $1 million. So what happened? How did you go from that to like making millions of dollars, speaking on stages with some of the top marketers in the world, et cetera, all that?
Okay, all that part.
Yeah.
So what I found inside my program that I was the most. So one of the things that you have to think about, right, is like, in order to go to $1 million, you got to come up with something that's like really valuable, that like is really valuable to other people. So now it's not like, so I started learning, what can I do that is really valuable to someone, like really could change the game in their life. And that took me a while to figure out. So I just want to like, it took me like, it wasn't until I was 18 months in that I was starting to figure out. And I think sometimes we skip over that part, that you gotta like experiment, and you gotta go through whatever you need to go through to figure out what is it that you have that's really valuable.
You gotta go through it so you can grow through it.
Yeah. Say it again, Myron. Yeah. Somebody write that down.
Yeah, you gotta go through it so you can grow through it, because you become a better version of yourself. A lot of people call it you evolve, but I don't like to say evolve. I like to say you develop.
Yeah.
Because in real life, development happens as a result of intention, whereas evolution is more of a theory that's, we won't even go there. So anyway, so
I was experimenting. I was just trying to figure it out, and you know how the scripture just talks about having patience too. So I was just being patient, figuring it out. What I discovered is the thing that was helping other people the most was me helping them craft their signature message, their talk. So I hadn't realized that my experience as a pastor and my ability to communicate was part of the thing that later would help me add value to other people. What does that mean for you? Oftentimes you're sitting on a skill and you're sitting on a superpower that you don't think is that super.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people think of their story as just being a story, but it's not just your story. Your story is literally the verbal communication of the experiences of your life that have made your life get better.
Wow.
Like, if your life is getting better, which that's the whole purpose, right? Be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion, right? The whole purpose of living your life is for it to get better.
Yeah.
And so your story is not just, oh, well, my name's Myron Golden and I used to be a trash man and blah, blah,
so
right?
good.
It's like when you tell the transformation story, right? You go from the zero story to the hero story, right? And that's the thing that causes people to say, wait, it happened for them?
Yeah.
I know it's going to happen for me. Like, here's what's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, if you're speaking and you're telling people your story, or if I'm speaking and I'm telling people my story, people think they're smarter than you.
Yeah.
They think they're smarter than me.
Right.
I know that. Like, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, come on, let's be honest. You hear, and then, or you have students, like, and you share your student stories, and they look at your students and they say, well, they did. I know I'm going to get rich, right?
Yeah.
And so that's all a part of the growth of the brand, and that's part of the growth of the business as well.
Yeah, so great. Yeah, so one of those things is people are not aware of their story. They're not aware of how powerful their story is.
Right, because it's theirs.
Because it's theirs, and so they're too close to it.
Right.
So I was helping other people become aware of, like, the pain you've been through is meant for a purpose. Like, the thing you've been going through wasn't an accident. You know what I'm saying? So it's like helping them become aware and then helping them arrange that story so that it sounds good, because there's a lot of people who speak, I don't know if you've ever heard them, but that are really boring.
I've never heard a boring speaker.
Like, there are so many speakers, Myron, that don't know how.
They don't even sound like they're interested, right? They're like, dude, you falling asleep on yourself.
Yeah. And speaking can be one of the most fun activities that you have and your audience has, like, in life.
Right,
It can be so awesome.
It's like you can make people feel the feelings and smell the smells and see the sights of a time gone by, or even better yet, a time to come.
Yeah.
Right, just with the
It's
words that
amazing.
come out of your mouth. Yeah, it is.
Aristotle said that oratory is master. Like, oratory is master of all. If you really think about it, like, movements are changed, wars are I mean, like, great things have happened and bad things have happened just because of oratory.
Right, Demosthenes, who was an orator,
Yes.
made Philip of Macedon, who was Alexander the Great's father, tremble at his words.
Whoa.
Right?
So cool.
Yeah. It is cool. Like,
Yeah.
Demosthenes.
Demosthenes.
Yeah, I know, I get it. I mean, Philip.
That's
Philip.
really cool.
I get it. You're Philip of Macedon, and I get it. Your son's Alexander the Great, but I am Demosthenes, right? So,
I literally want to name something or someone that
yeah,
right
exactly.
now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so being aware, arranging the message, and then people don't know how to activate people at the end of their message if they have a product or mentorship or whatever it is that they could
offer.
And so speakers don't realize that they can move audiences and create wealth from one speech.
100%.
It's so powerful.
And I know so many speakers who've done that. It's interesting. I was playing golf the other day with Bob Reed and Scott Gunther. Scott Gunther was in the car with me. He said, "You ever think about how many singers there were in the past, and they only had one hit?"
Wow.
Right?
Oh,
They
I
were
never
one
thought
hit
about
wonders.
that. Yeah, that's interesting.
One hit wonders. But that one hit made them like a fortune. They were able to retire with one song. Like,
Crazy
that's
talent.
that's mind blowing.
That is mind blowing.
And to think that you can build an entire multi-million-dollar business around a message.
A message. Yeah, so that is so, it's the, people don't realize the amount of money that you can make off of one speech with offering, I like to say, an invitation at the end of the speech into something
For
deeper.
people that are like,
Yeah,
get
so
it.
that's like, a lot of people think that in order to have speaking as a career, you have to join a speaker bureau or like,
Are you a part of a speaker bureau?
no.
Oh, you're not a part of a speaker. Okay.
Maybe you are. And I'll do it if you do it.
No.
Okay.
I'm not a part of a speaker bureau. So let me ask you this. So you started teaching people how to develop their signature speech. How does that turn into a multi-million-dollar business, though?
I know.
Because like people are watching and they're like, well,
What?
I'd like to turn my signature speech into a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
So
How does it work?
There was a guy who wrote a book about him and his brother. His brother's name was Henry.
Okay.
He wrote a book called Me and Henry.
Me and Henry.
No bookstore would take his book. So you know what he did? He opened up a bookstore.
Wow.
The name of the bookstore, this is
that's
not an
so cool.
exaggeration. The name of the bookstore was the One Book Bookstore. It became a tourist attraction.
No way.
It became a tourist attraction. People would, and it was either in Arkansas or Oklahoma, and people would come through that town, and they would buy his book called Me and Henry.
Me and Henry.
Me and Henry. The guy became a multi-millionaire. He just told a story about him and his brother growing up, Me and Henry. Then he said, well, you know what? I might as well do a sequel. I'm not exaggerating. This is a real story. This really happened. So he wrote a book called Me and Mama. He wrote a book about him and his mom.
See?
And so, like, it's fascinating. Like, that's what you said reminded me of. People think it has to be obviously,
Right.
it's better if it's something that adds value to people's lives, but somehow or another, maybe people are just inspired by a guy who had enough intestinal fortitude to open up a bookstore and only sell his own book.
Intestinal fortitude.
Right?
Well done.
That make me want to read the book about, I want to know more about this Henry fella, right? So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. So, so you start a business. So what do? You charge people to come to your event? Do you?
Yeah. So the
you
way
said something about you make an offer.
Right. So the way we made it. Well, the way we made our first $1 million and then multi-millions after that was using this one speech with one offer at the end of it and getting on podcasts and shows and doing the speech. I was actually so relieved that it was just one speech, because as a pastor, we used to have to come up with like a new message every week. But with one speech, you can get on tons and tons of stages, and actually really, really big stages. And you taught me this too, like it opens up enormous doors if you can communicate well.
Right. Right. It's not enough to just be able to talk. You have to be able to say it. You have to have something good to say, and you have to say it well. That's what Jim Rohn said. You have to have something good to say. You have to say it well. If you don't have anything good to say, it doesn't matter how good you say it. Or if you have something good to say and you don't say it well, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to have both.
Right.
Right.
So the way we did it, and the way our clients do it, is making the speech with an offer at the end or an invitation into some type of mentorship or coaching program or whatever it looks like for different people. But the power of communicating in 45 minutes your story in a way that inspires and changes lives should not be underestimated. It is real potent and so powerful.
And so profitable.
And so profitable.
Yeah, so profitable. So if somebody said, yeah, but I can't do that. I have a law practice, or I'm a chiropractor, or I'm a cosmetic surgeon. Okay, surely this is not for me.
Great point. Well, it's interesting, right? Because you think about the power of great communication in any field. Like if you were in law or chiropractor, or you have a brick and mortar of any kind, or you're in a corporate office. Have you found this to be true, that the people who can communicate the best are typically promoted the fastest?
Oh, 100%.
Or typically holding the highest revenue positions in the 100%. Company.
So interesting. Or they have the most successful businesses. I don't think Apple became the leading computer, phone, music, watch,
all the things,
business in the world because they had the best products necessarily. They had great products. But in addition to having great products, Steve Jobs was a brilliant communicator. His ability to get a message across in a succinct and powerful fashion was
insane.
It was next level. Yeah.
It was a performance.
It was.
It was a performance. So
a very high level performance at that.
Warren Buffett said that you can increase your net worth by 50% by becoming a better communicator.
I can believe that. I believe that a person could increase their net worth by 5,000% by becoming a better communicator.
You're right, absolutely. That would be like a low ball number on 50%.
Exactly. When I think about the fact, like, I haven't had a job since 1994. Okay, so this is my last job. My wife and I were house parents at a children's home, and we quit right after I got fired, or got fired right after I quit. They both happened so close together, I don't remember which one happened first. But that was the last time I had a job. I pay more per month in taxes than I used to make in 10 or 12 years working a job. I pay more in taxes per year than I would have made in my entire lifetime at a job.
Wow.
And it's all because I have a message that matters for people who care, and I communicate the message. So what would you say to somebody who feels like they're at a dead-end job?
Yeah.
So to anesthetize themselves, they come home and watch Netflix in the evening, and maybe go to some kind of sports event on the weekends, or maybe they just get blasted on the weekends. But they want their life to be better. So, like, is it possible? I get it. You used to be a pastor. I get it. You talked for a living, but now this is somebody, they didn't talk for a living.
Yeah, good.
How can what you do help them?
Yeah, 100%. Well, first of all, if you just have the awareness that people who can communicate well, they make more money. Like, it's just a fact. If you look inside your own sphere, but then if you think about if you invested a little bit in your own communication skills, and I actually improving them, and people don't know this, but actually public speaking is the #1 fear.
Yeah, which is fascinating.
It's.
'Cause I can think of a whole bunch of things that are way scarier than that.
Yeah. I read somewhere that 10% of the public has no fear of public speaking, which I think would be you. Like,
I definitely.
you have no.
But I don't anymore.
You don't anymore.
But I
Okay.
hated, like when I was growing up, I didn't love public speaking.
Yeah.
I learned to love it. But I think the reason people have anxiety over speaking in public is because they don't know what's going to happen. That's the real anxiety is not the speaking. It's the not knowing. Are people going to laugh? Are they going to throw tomatoes? Like what's going to happen when I'm done?
Yeah.
If a person knew what was going to happen, if they had a sense of certainty about a good outcome, when they're done. This thing's hurting my ear, so I'm just kind of messing with it.
Oh, yeah.
So if they had a sense of certainty about what's going to happen, they would have no fear, no anxiety, no anything.
Right.
The reason I love public speaking, like I remember when I was getting ready to go on stage at the 10X Growth Conference in Miami, when there were 35,000 people out there. Somebody asked me, "Were you nervous?" I'm a whole lot of stuff, but nervous is not on the list because I already know what's going to happen. And I'm not being arrogant when I say this, but I knew it was going to happen because I was going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right. So I was facilitating the audience. I'm not just talking to them, I'm facilitating them.
Yep.
And it was remarkable.
So good. So, and mastery is different than if you're like brand new to public speaking. Like I used to like. In fact, one time I was so scared of public speaking, I actually ran out the back door of the building when they announced me on the platform.
Really?
Yeah. Like I've had to journey through that. However, improving your communication skills and learning like there's little tricks you can do. Maybe I could give you guys some of the little tricks that are really fun to actually like. So
share a trick.
Improve. Okay, share a trick. Okay, here are 2 things that you can do to like instantly become an amazing communicator out the gate. This is going to be so funny. So the best way to cure any type of nervousness or anxiety in front of people isn't actually through mindset or like rewiring your, like that's too hard. It's actually through your body. So this is a trick where if you pose in a certain way, I wonder if I could do it here on the chair. If you pose in a certain way.
You don't want to stand up because that'll get you out of frame.
All right, so listen.
My brother did that
one time?
We were like on a television show. He just jumps up, starts walking around. They were not ready.
You can't do that. So I'll give you the visual picture. There's a certain pose called a power pose that it increases your testosterone and lowers cortisol. And if you hold the pose for 4 minutes before you get up on stage, you'll perform better.
Wow.
I know. So I'll tell you, because I can't do it in front of you. You know how when you see an Olympian cross a finish line in like a 100-yard race or something like that, and they throw their hands up in the air?
Victory.
Yeah, and their shoulders are back, almost their back is arched. That is called the power pose. And the power pose, the studies have shown that your testosterone will increase, which is a performance hormone, and cortisol, which is your stress hormone, will decrease.
So interesting. So there's a book that I read 3 times because it was so good, called How Champions Think in Sports and in Life by Dr. Bob Rotella.
Okay.
And he talked about that. I don't remember that he called it the power pose.
Yeah.
But he talked about one of the things that he would do is he would teach when he was coaching golfers, he would coach them to lift up their hands like they just won.
Wow.
Before
how fascinating.
they roll a very important putt.
That is so fascinating.
And and it releases all kinds of amazing positivity. And so one of the things that I started doing, not in a pose but in a phrase, is before I roll a putt that's a really hard putt,
Yep.
the last thing I will say is, it's a good thing I'm one of the best putters in the world.
Wow.
And I just like tell myself this, I'm one of the best putters in the world, and then it's interesting.
It is really cool.
'Cause when you said the power pose, I'm thinking, I wonder what pose he's going to say.
Yep.
I read about that in Dr. Bob Rotella's book. So interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then
you do that for 4 minutes.
For 4 minutes. There's other things too. There's lots of things, but the best way to beat fear is actually through the body, not through the mind. I mean, yes, you can focus on, definitely do incredible mindset work and focus your thoughts, but the body, it's a quicker way.
Which reminds me of something I read in probably something Tony Robbins a long time ago, probably Awaken the Giant Within, or one of those.
The
one about power.
Personal
Unleash the
power.
power thing.
Oh, unleash the power. Yeah.
He said, you can model any form of human excellence by modeling 3 things.
Right.
Belief system.
Right.
Mental syntax and physiology.
Really cool.
Right. Belief system is, so when I learned how to shoot a gun, and my son-in-law took me to the gun range the first time, I said, okay, Funny enough, I was talking I said, I'm going to be really good at this. And my daughter started laughing at me. She said, how do you know you're going to be good at it? Because I know how to, have you ever shot a gun before? No. But I know how to learn things. And so I asked John, I said, John, what do you believe about shooting a gun? And he told me what he believed about shooting a gun. And how do you like stand? How do you hold the gun? How do you breathe? Like ask him all these. And then, okay, what do you do first in your mind? What do you do second? What do you do third? And I copied all these beliefs. And the first time I ever shot a gun, I shot 4 bullets through the same hole. It was in the thing that was loud.
The first time?
The first time. And so,
That's
and then
awesome.
my brother Rob's a brilliant shooter. And so I've taken some shooting lessons from him. He showed me one thing in physiology, my physiology and how I use my body that made my accuracy improve like amazingly. Just one thing you do in your body. Because it reminds me, Tony Robbins said, if you change any one of those 3 things, belief system, mental syntax is the order in which you fire off messages in your brain. You change any one of those things, it automatically changes all 3. So what is that third thing?
Okay, so the third thing, this is so fantastic because many speakers, it's shifting from I to you. Let me explain.
Okay.
So many speakers get up and start talking too much about themselves. I was here, I was doing this thing, it was a dark and stormy day 16 years ago. In fact, people will do this actually in conversation, Myron, where they'll just talk about themselves.
And then you start zoning out.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And in the audience, the eyes start shifting, phones start coming out, people start looking down. They lose engagement within the first minute.
Okay.
So great speakers will start an I, and then within the first minute, for sure, switch to you. I was in this place, I was doing this thing, and this thing happened. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt stuck? Where you felt, and then relating it back to the story? If you'll just shift from I to you, now the audience, you know, it's
100%.
because we don't care about.
Yeah, people just don't like you that much. Like they don't like me that much either. Like they want to know what you can do for them. They don't really want to know about you. Even your story, if it doesn't relate to them somehow, they don't care.
Yeah, 100%. So shift from I to you in conversation, in stage, in your signature message. Shifting from I to you is, you'll see every great public speaker does this within about the first minute.
Gotcha.
And all the worst ones don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about where people can go to find out more about how they can learn whatever you have to teach them.
Whatever I have to teach them. Yeah.
Yeah, about how to take their life to the next level through their signature talk,
Yeah.
their signature speech.
Yes.
How does somebody go? Where do they go? Where do they go?
We have a 5-day challenge
5-day challenge.
that helps people craft their signature message.
Okay.
It's really cool. Right there, we'll like brainstorm the story with them, and then perhaps what they could invite people or offer at the end of their message. That's the part where, that's where you can crush it and make wealth, like real great wealth, is making an invitation at the end. So Craft Your Signature Message is the name of our challenge. And yeah, it's coming up. It's about 2 hours every day. So an hour of Q&A, and then an hour where we go through your message. Like we'll talk about what it is about your story that could help other people, and we'll brainstorm it and put it all together, and by the end of the week, you'll have your signature message.
And so do you want to give them a URL, or do you want us to put it in there?
Yeah, if you want to join us on the challenge, it's craftyoursignatureMessage.com, and should be, I'll give you a link and put it in the show.
CraftyoursignatureMessage.com.
CraftyoursignatureMessage.com.
Cool. So Eileen, if you're going to share people who watch this YouTube video, you're going to share something with them. They're hopeful. They're wanting their transformation, their life transformation to happen like your transformation. What is the one thing you would tell them to like make all the? They're like, yeah, I want your story to become my story, but I don't know how. Like I don't know if it can. I don't know if that can happen for me. What would you say to that person?
Well, I love how the scripture talks about seeking wisdom, right? And even in some parts it says to buy wisdom. And that was a great step for me, was to buy wisdom from people who were already crushing the game. The reason why buying wisdom, I think in one translation it says to purchase wisdom, is because people who pay pay attention.
100%.
So it's actually a gift to yourself every time you buy a book or you purchase a course or you spend money on a mentor. It's actually a gift to yourself. Why? Because now it's putting you in the game. Now you've got skin in the game, and now you're like, you're going to show up and do the thing. And that's a success principle. I love how, and Robert Kiyosaki says in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that poor people say, I can't afford this. Mm-hmm. But wealthy people say, how can I afford this? So purchasing wisdom for me, I believe, has collapsed time frames.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in addition to getting the wisdom from the person you're buying it from, you get to get in a room with people who are thinking at a level that you didn't even know existed.
Oh my gosh.
And it's so fascinating to me because when I got in rooms like that and I shared my ideas, and those people who, by the way, then were making more money than me then, thought my ideas were the greatest things they ever heard. I'm like, maybe I've just been talking to the wrong people.
Wow. That is another power principle. Yeah, like you just get in the room. Get in the room will change your life.
You'll find networking partners. You'll find promotional partners. You'll find people who will want you on their podcast.
Oh my gosh.
YouTube channel. Like just being in the room with the same people who are at the same level or higher. If you're in the room, they're going to know, okay, this person didn't come in here to get something from me because they're in here to get the same thing I'm in here to get.
Yeah.
So maybe we can cross promote each other. So that's really good, Eileen.
Yeah.
Really good. So guys, go to craftyoursignaturemessage.com and register for Eileen's challenge. And it's going to be you and Harrison.
Yeah.
Is that right? Like they're going to get to meet your husband.
Yeah.
Is Harry going to be there too, your son?
Yeah, we got the whole fam. We're all in.
All right, good stuff. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get more amazing content like this. We appreciate y'all. In the meantime, in between time, stay blessed by the best. Peace out, Cub Scouts.